say a couple of brief words about Bill 161, a bill that's currently before the Legislative Assembly. I talked about the fact that our role is to hold regulators accountable to their legal obligations. There are two pieces of legislation that talk about fair access requirements for regulated professions. One of those is directed at health professions and the other is directed at non-health professions. The requirements for both types of professions are very similar, but there are a few differences around things like timely processing of applications. And so the bill that's currently being considered is trying to address some of those differences and make sure that health professions are held to the same standard as non-health professions. You want to change to the next slide? Great. One of the professions in my particular portfolio is medicine. We've met with two different groups of internationally educated physicians, and these are some of the key issues that have been brought to our attention in those meetings. So first, making sure that immigrant doctors have more accurate information before they immigrate about their chances of being able to work as a doctor in Canada. Two, finding opportunities to stay current and get exposure to the healthcare system here to have a better chance of competing for a residency spot. Three, the bottleneck that is created by that residency requirement, and this is really a key issue. As you know, there are far more people applying for spots than there are spots available, so there's a need either to increase the number of spots or to look at alternative routes to licensing. And for financial hardship and finding meaningful health-related employment to help pay the bills while you're working towards getting licensed or as an alternative to practicing medicine. I think addressing these concerns requires action by many, many stakeholders, and you've done a good job of bringing together various groups here tonight to talk about how to move forward. There is a need for action by community groups like yourselves, as well as the Ministry of Health, the Faculties of Medicine, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario. Our recommendations are directed specifically to the college and tend to focus on the first three bullet points there. We do recognize that particularly around the issue of creating alternatives to residency, there needs to be action by the ministry and the universities in order to address that key problem. A lot of what this group has been looking at, and I come to the priorities document, has been around practical support for IMGs along the journey towards licensing. I think that's a very appropriate focus for a community-based initiative, and I think your ideas in particular around creating local health placements is a very innovative response to the challenges around staying current and getting exposure to the Canadian healthcare system. Understand there's also interest and concern with the larger system issues, and I really encourage you to stay in touch with our office to share the experiences and concerns and recommendations of immigrant health professionals, but also to stay in touch with the groups that are more directly responsible for decision making in this area, like the College of Physicians and Surgeons and the Ministry of Health. So thank you, and I look forward to being a part of the table discussions.